Okay, hi everybody, and welcome back to the OutMarket.Pro podcast. Glad to have you here, and glad to have my guest, Mike Lavallee. Lavallee, help me.
Correct.
Lavallee, like
Correct.
the Valley of Death, but not
Correct.
you.
Yes.
Mike Lavallee. He is a professional video specialist. As you'll see, he does soup to nuts, everything involving video production, writing, editing, producing. He's also a best-selling author, and I've met Mike before, and this is a tidbit that I didn't know, so we'll have to pursue that as well. So, Mike, welcome to the podcast. So glad to have you here.
Thank you. Glad to be here, Mark.
All right. As who said this? I'll think of it in a minute. Famous older actor, and he said, "At my age, I'm glad to be anywhere." So that doesn't apply to you, but I'll remember who he is. It was a good gag. So start out telling us about your background, where you've come from, training, and how you picked up all these wonderful tools. And I'll have more questions for you when you get there.
Okay. So I was born in a very small town in Rhode Island called West Warwick, Rhode Island. I was born and raised up there. And I was kind of a slow starter. I didn't go to college till I was 26. And that's because I just wasn't motivated to go to school at the time. And I was working odd jobs. And then eventually I decided I can't just live doing odd jobs and stuff. So I was watching TV that night, and I happened to be watching Sports Center. And it dawned on me, like, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to be a sportscaster and be on camera and give scores and highlights. And so I went back to school. I was a 26-year-old freshman, but I went back to school, and I got a degree in radio and television broadcasting. Now, while I was in school and learning about being in front of the camera, I discovered kind of quickly that being behind the camera was much more fun, and you can be much more creative being behind the camera, whereas in front, you're just following scripts and teleprompters, and it just looked like it wasn't going to be for me, but it looked like the production area was going to be for me. So that's why I went to school and I got my degree in radio and video broadcasting, but I ended up being behind the camera and learning all there is. I worked for ABC here in Tampa Bay. I worked in their sports department, editing sports packages together, which I thought was a dream job, and it was actually quite hard, actually, having to watch all kinds of sports at once and time code it all and put highlight packages together. But it really taught me how to edit. So I worked for them for a while, and then I went to HSN and worked in live television for quite a while. And doing that, they let me be a sponge, and that's where I learned how to produce, how to write scripts, how to direct, be a floor director, be a director, an assistant director, graphics, audio. I learned it all. I was there for 22 years learning all of that. And so that's how I got most of my background. I've also worked on low budget movies. Unfortunately, nothing anybody's heard of because they didn't make it very big, and they were local here in Florida. But I, was a cameraman for a few of them. And I learned how to become a camera specialist. And so basically, for over 22 years, I worked in TV and movies, and that's where I learned how to do everything. And that's why I guess I consider myself a video production professional specialist.
Nice. And, on the job training is really the best. The academic stuff can deepen perspective and help with technical sorts of things.
For
And
sure.
so we do a little bit of video work, short form video work. And I feel like it is an art, both an art and a science.
It
And
is.
talk to me a little bit about that division, and what parts are science that can be learned, what parts are, yeah. You know what? Hold on just a minute. I knew this was going to happen, and I'm pausing it about 12 minutes into it. I've got a guy that's working on our sprinkler system, and of course he would come right when we're doing this.
Of course you would, yeah.
So let me pause and just direct him, and then I'll be right back with you.
Okay. Yep.
And I'm telling my video team. Okay, team, picking back up here after the pause for the sprinkler. I'm thinking it's about 12 minutes in. So if you'll pick that up and cut that out, please. Pick it up and cut it out. Okay.
There you go.
So go ahead, Mike. Just pick up where you think you left off.
So I learned how to edit in college. And when I first learned how to do it, it was the old VHS system where you would have your VHS tape of all your raw footage that you recorded with the camera. And that would go into one VCR, and then your other VCR was set up to do the editing. And you would go through your time codes, and you would set your in point, and then you would set your out point. And with VHS tapes, it could be really frustrating because, man, you could get a sliver of black in there. And, you know, you start to think, well, would anybody notice? Well, but you notice. And so, you know, you can't have the little sliver of black in there. So it was frustrating to learn that system. But here's what I would say about learning on that old system. It really teaches you how to edit and how to get around things. Now with the new systems, you know, where it's all just dropping the video, you know, you download the video onto your computer or upload, and then you just drop it onto the channel of video that you want. So that part is much, much easier than it was back in the VCR days, setting in points and out points. Now doing that with a computer is much easier. So like the science has made it a lot easier. But as far as editing itself, all the editing that we have on our computers now, I self-taught myself. I just, you know, researched them and read about them. And then when I bought the professional video pad, which is what I edit on, I just self-taught myself, because if you understand the concept of how editing works with the channels and the audios on one channel, videos on another, like it wasn't too bad for me to self-teach myself on the new systems, which have actually made it easier. So I guess science has made it easier, but you know, just being creative is what I'm trying to say. That part is still, you know, what editing is all about, and the science has made it easier, but still, you know, it's still a talent in my opinion. But yeah, editing. Here's the thing I would say about editing, especially to people who just start out. It's very frustrating when you first learn it. It you know, but if you stick with it, it becomes easier and easier, and then eventually it becomes old hats like everything else.
Mm-hmm. You don't go so far back as to have spliced film, did you?
No, no. For me, it was the VCR old setup. You know, back in the late '90s. But editing, you know, by the time I learned it all and started my own company and stuff, you know, by then it was all on computers. But you know, so no, I didn't have to. It wasn't bad learning all the new systems. So, but yeah, learning on the old VCR system was rough, but it actually made it easier to learn the new systems because it helped me to understand the concept of how to edit, and it made it a lot easier to learn.
And the timestamps now, I think they go to 4 decimal points, so you can really, or
They
3,
really do. Yes, they do. Yeah.
so you can
Back in
get
the old
really.
days, it was just minutes and seconds, 30 frames per second, and that was it, But yeah, now you can really, the time codes are really, really specific.
So you can be very precise and not have that black line in there.
Yes, I have not had a sliver of black on any of my editing in a long, long time.
uh, so, of all the aspects of um, video editing, producing, what captures your heart and gut? What do you like best?
I like doing cameras. Um, Again, I learned that I became a camera specialist. So I can work with just about any camera out there. It's kind of like editing. All the concepts are the same. It's just different controls and stuff. But yeah, for me, my favorite part is working cameras. Because you can be the most creative working cameras. Married up with editing, but with cameras, um, that's my personal favorite. You just all the things you can do, especially if you have like a jib camera or a dolly. When I shoot my videos, most of mine is on a top of the line GoPro on a fancy stabilizer stick where I can do lots of tricks with it. And I find that easier because I can walk as I'm recording and scooch down, raise up. You can do everything, more easily that way. But yeah, cameras is by far my favorite part of everything I've learned. I love doing cameras.
And you use a gimbal, which is for the audience, is the thing that allows it to stay stable
Correct.
when you move.
Correct. Yes, it gets screwed onto the stabilizer stick, and then you can set the controls for the camera to not move up or down. You can move it to not move side to side, or you can move it to follow the action as you're moving, which is what you do most of the time. And the camera will self-adjust itself, even if you don't move it. Although most of the time you got to move it a little anyway. Um, but yes, correct. Top of the line GoPro on a fancy stabilizer stick is how I do all my shooting.
I bet that's amazing. And you surprised me by saying that you work with a high-end GoPro. I bet it's amazing when you think about the cameras that you started with, sounds like in the 70s.
Right.
You're up here and it's
Oh,
huge and
they were like 40 pounds. And yeah, I worked some wrestling events, uh, at the venues around here, where the Rays play, and at the old Ice Palace. And I've worked wrestling events where you're running around the cage shooting the wrestlers with that handheld camera on your shoulder at 40 pounds. And man, that was a workout, but I loved every second of it.
did you say wrestling?
Professional wrestling, correct.
Wow. Um, so now to be working with a camera that's this big, now you've got stick and gimbal and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
that's got to be mind blowing.
It is. It is. Even if you would have told me back in the late 90s when I was finishing college that, oh, yeah, you'll have cameras that'll shoot, high definition on little sticks, and you'll be able to walk and talk. And I'd be like, oh, wow, I don't think we'll have that in my lifetime. But here we are.
So also talk about the different applications that you work with. Um, Now, product, uh, what are all the major niches that you have and do?
You mean it's like what I do for clients or?
Yeah. Yeah. what types of work,
Gotcha.
walkthroughs for houses.
Yeah, well, my main service is brand videos. Shooting brand videos for small businesses to help them grow their brand. Um, uh, so I do that. I do family video is I do, but I don't do weddings. That's more for like if a family's having a special occasion, but Uncle Jeff can't be in town, they hire me to go and shoot the event and edit it together and send it to him. And people talking to the camera to them and make them feel like they were there. I do cover letter videos for anybody who's looking for a job. I so much is going to video now, so I always try and come up with new ideas. And I came up with that one a few years ago, cover letter videos. So I do those. I do virtual tours for both commercial and residential property. Um, if it's literally a point of view tour, meaning I hold the camera and I walk through the house as if it's you walking around the house and looking around, and I look at everything in the house and I edit it together where it all wraps around, where you understand all the square footage and everything. And I can
Does
do
the
that for both residential and commercial properties.
Let me interrupt.
Sure.
Does the agent sometimes narrate, or is it usually just a visual walkthrough?
It's usually just a visual walkthrough with music. And then they always let me know what's important for them for me to shoot.
Mhm.
And if it needs, a tag, as we say, like when I shot at an old chemical plant, they wanted to make sure that I got the eye wash and then, put eye wash, station on the video. But yeah,
Mhm.
for the most part, they don't narrate. No, it's just music and a point of view as I walk through.
Let me do another quick pause and catch this guy.
Go
Sorry.
ahead.
So, team, there'll be a little bit of a blip there if you'll edit that. Um, so, Mike, I've got another potential application. You may have done it, may not, but let me just pose it to you. I thought it was really cool. So I've got a friend who whose father and their generation were getting up in age, and they did a video of just a conversation with all the brothers. I think it was all men, but all the siblings, and and gave it to all the different families, and the families really enjoyed it. And my friend's daughter came up to him recently and said, uh, his generation is starting to have some health issues. They're in their 70s and 80s, and said, Dad, it's time for you to do your generation. And
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was such a treasured video at the upper generation. And the daughter wanted to have the same thing for my friend's generation. And I thought it was so cool.
That is cool. That it really is cool. Yes. Geez, now you're giving me some ideas here, Mark.
Yep. And as people, another related idea would be, as people are starting to have some health issues and at older in age, and that's when to do a video just with the individual and have them tell stories, all the famous stories that they used to tell while they are still relatively healthy. So an individual video, and I'm sure there's some clever names that you could attribute to that particular one. So both of those I thought were really cool ideas.
Those are really cool ideas. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to start checking into that. Actually, you've got my head spinning here. You've got the gears working.
And the marketer in me thinks Facebook, a little video demo on Facebook would really promote that well.
Yeah. Yes, it would. Yeah, for
So
sure.
um so what what other part of the business and other applications for, well, let's see, we really haven't, have we covered all the applications that you work in? What about brand, I mean, not brand, product videos? So it's related to brand, but just particular products when somebody has a.
Yeah. Oh, I could absolutely do that. Yeah. I mean, it's the same as a brand video. You're just, instead of promoting a company, you're just promoting a product. Yeah. I mean, I can do any professional video promoting anything, which is why I kind of started the cover letter videos, because you're promoting yourself. But yeah, anything that you want to promote, I can absolutely make a professional video from. If you're a restaurant owner, I do menu videos, so that when people look at your menu online, they can, instead of seeing a picture of the food, they can actually seeing it being prepared.
With the steam coming up.
Yes,
That's cool.
exactly. Yeah. um, so yeah. What else? That's about it for everything I do. At
Is
least,
there one, is there
yeah.
one or more that have that place in your heart, like being behind the camera? Are there applications that really grab you?
Yeah. I mean, the whole reason I got into making professional videos, other than my love of it and being creative, um, is to help other people. So if I'm making a brand video or a product video, or just anything that will help you um, become more successful, that's where my passion is. I want to be a small business owner helping other small business owners to become successful.
Very good. And that's, as a marketer, that's what really floats my boat too. And I prefer small businesses because
Same,
you can
same.
have more impact on a small business than working for a company and you got 12 people you're reporting to in a big company.
Yeah, I mean, the big companies, the Publixes and the Walmarts. I mean, they have video production companies that charge like $20,000 because they're, but I'm all about the little guy. Um, I want to help the little guy become successful, because that's what I am. So I'm all about us helping each other out. That's how we all succeed.
Here's another idea, just from my own experience. My dog, Trusty Dog, and I do agility. And that's, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's where the dogs go over obstacle courses. They do jumps, they go over towers, through
Oh,
tunnels.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I
Like
mean,
at dog shows.
mostly people see it on ESPN when they're just breezing
Yep.
through the channels,
Yep. Yep.
But it's it's something that the owners, handlers is what they're called,
Right.
really love. And I'm in a center, and I could see how maybe for graduation day, and usually the classes are like 8 weeks, towards the end of a class, to videotape um, one of the runs, that the owners would really like to have that. So
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
So when I go back, I'll mention it, and we could talk about it. So
Okay.
um yeah, there are all sorts of cool ideas. What about drones? Are you working with drones yet?
I do have a drone. Um, I don't really need it all that much, but it comes in handy at times, especially virtual tours. It comes in real handy for stuff like showing the proximity of the house to where the water is, or other landmarks. It comes in real handy for that. So yes, I do have a drone. But most of the time, I don't use it all that much. I don't have much need for it. But being a professional, I have one, and I have learned to use them. And they come in very handy at times.
What do you see the possibilities as the steering gets easier? I mean, they've been a bear to operate, in the past. I don't have one, but is the technology, do you sense that that's evolving to make it easier to like hover in one spot and so
Yeah,
you
it
can,
is. It has gotten easier because as they've become newer and newer, they've become, much more, instead of, using the joystick to try and get it to do things, they become much more push button, you know, um, stuff like doing flips, not that you would have much call for doing a flip while you're recording video, but it's there if you need it. But yeah, like drones nowadays, like you can have a drone, up in the sky and you're looking at it and you can just hit a button that says return and it'll just fly right back to you. Whereas, when they first came out, you would have to literally drive it all the way back to you.
Mhm.
And that was really tricky around trees. I had a video at Sunken Gardens, and it was so hard to shoot because I was trying to shoot the drone going up and up, but it was a light drone because they weren't that heavy at the time, and the winds would grab it. And next thing you know, it's up in a tree, and you're trying to figure out how to get it down. Uh, so that's another thing drones have gotten. They've gotten heavier so that the wind doesn't affect them as much and stuff. And of course, the camera, the camera is all HD now and even 4K. So yeah, drones have become easier for sure. But they're always a little tricky. They're always a little tricky. Um, but I have one, and if anybody needs something where a drone would come in handy, I can absolutely do that.
If anybody in the audience either lives in Tampa Bay and you haven't been to Sunken Gardens or you're planning to visit, be sure to check it out.
For
It's
sure.
a it's an amazing icon of Tampa Bay and essentially a botanical garden with thousands of plants and really
It's beautiful. Yeah.
old plants. It's in a cutout. Anyway, be sure to check out Sunken Gardens. Um, so here's could be a sensitive point. AI. Let's talk about AI a little
Mm.
bit.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan testing out everything that comes out. Um, but they put the brakes on Sora. They OpenAI ChatGPT introduced it, but it hasn't been released yet. And Sora will create video. It's not text to image, not text to not text to text, but it's text to video. Um, I'm sure you've seen some of the demos that they did
Mm.
when they just introduced it. But what do you what do you see down the road for the future of video, especially short form video and AI?
Yeah. I mean, I don't like AI for reasons like I just feel like the the world has an unnecessary need to knock people out of jobs. And I get it. It makes everything easier, but it just feels like everything we do takes away jobs from people who need to work. It feels like to me, but there, uh, but because AI is becoming big, I am going to, and I have started to study it more and more and see where it can work for me. Um, like stuff like voiceovers, I would rather actually use a voiceover actor, um, you know, than use an AI generator where you talk and it, creates the voice for you. Because I listen to a bunch of them, and the computer mispronounces so many words, and I just find that to be incredibly annoying.
Mhm.
So I guess if I'm being honest, I'm not a fan of AI, but because it's becoming more and more popular, I am going to study it, and I have started. and I'm gonna try and figure out how it can work for me. There's got to be ways that it can work for me as well.
Yeah.
But much like in movies, where I much prefer practical effects to CGI, that's how I kind of feel about video as well. Like I prefer actually shooting and editing to, you know, AI making it. Sure, it makes it easier, but it just feels like it takes away all the not all the creativity, but a large portion of it for me anyway.
Hmm. You know, I heard a quote that I think is appropriate and applies to your situation as well. It's that your job will not be taken by AI. It's going to be taken by somebody using AI.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Right.
that's why I'm educating myself as a marketer, um, and staying on the cutting edge and
Yeah, you have to. Yep, you have to.
looking at it as a way to advance my abilities, and allow me to do things that I have not been able to do.
Hmm.
So, for example, one of the things that impressed me with one of the Sora demos was the resolution, like on some animals, and you could see each hair, each feather.
Hmm.
Um, that was incredible to see the amount of detail that the AI is creating, and I'm not even sure you can find subjects and combine that with the photographic techniques, videographic techniques to see that amount of detail. Um, so
Right.
anyway, I could see how it could enhance subjects, um, beyond, especially for animation. It really
Right.
makes it magical. Um, so it'll be interesting to see how it works. And I do think in general, it's going to cut jobs. And I was talking to a young man who is in a technical school for IT security,
Hmm.
and he just happened to be in it. And I said, excuse me, you are in one of the few technological niches that will be in more demand, greater demand as AI evolves and develops. And, the layoffs used to be more blue collar, that people that were replaced. And that is going to happen with robots when they finally are able to do plumbing and electrical and all that stuff.
Sure. Right.
But it's going to start, and is already starting, with white collar knowledge workers,
Mm.
um, that usually are the last ones to keep their jobs. So this is going to flip the whole layoff model, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Um, yeah, it's a little scary for me, but you know, the only way to get over fears is to face them. So I'll be learning more and more about AI, and I will figure out a way for it to work for me. Absolutely.
What are some of the other technological developments or improvements that you see on the horizon that excite you?
Um, I think I think eventually we'll come out with devices that will make um, everything faster. I have a feeling that soon you'll be able to, shoot video and edit video all on one device. It'll be your camera, it'll be your editor, it'll be and I think it's going to become faster and faster, and eventually, things that take hours to edit will take minutes. Um, and that's what I think is coming on the horizon. I think everything will get faster and faster, and you know, um, you know, we're up to 4K. That'll probably just continue to improve as well. You know, who knows what's coming? 5K, 6K, who knows? Um, and almost uh, so almost like I'm not sure where it's going to go. I guess because I mean, you look at 4K now and you think, wow, you know, look at that video, look at those colors, you know. But you know, when high def came out, you know, my thinking was, oh wow, this is the top of the line. And then 4K came out, and so I think everything will just keep advancing. We'll just keep making video look more and more amazing, and it will become easier. I truly believe we'll have devices that'll be strictly for video, where you can shoot, edit, and do all kinds of amazing things right from one device within minutes.
And maybe, you know, voice is really coming on strong. So maybe you'd be able to say, okay, cut that last scene.
Yes, that is absolutely coming. I guarantee you, where you'll be able to just voice everything. You know, stop record, clip here, add in this. It'll all be voice eventually. I guarantee you. And that actually, now that excites me, because that would be uh, very, very cool. And that would be really amazing to be able to, you know, pump out, you know, numerous videos in a really quick time. But yeah, that is absolutely coming, and that absolutely would excite me. Just being able to voice what you want, and the device will just be able to do it for you. Edit this, put this in here, make this, you know, make it a split screen. It'll all be voice activated soon. It's coming, and it's probably coming very quickly.
Mm-hmm. And like, cut that last scene where to 10 seconds, shorten it to 10 seconds
Mm,
at appropriate points.
yeah.
So yeah. Anything else you can see with your crystal ball that's going to be happening? So resolution, voice activation, editing on one device.
Drones will continue to get better. Um, Drones will continue to be amazing. These amazing devices. Eventually, you will have drones that will be able to fly out, you know, into a next state, you know, and then return, you know, probably within, maybe hours at first. But if that's coming as well, like drones are going to be, there'll be regulations we'll have to deal with them flying all over the sky. But um, drones as well, I expect to be a huge part of the future, and I suspect we'll see more and more of them.
And you know, especially in authoritarian countries and cities with authoritarian types of bent, where there are cameras, fixed cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and you've got privacy issues with the drones as well as with the fixed cameras.
Right. That's all going to have to be worked out. But eventually, they will. But yeah, um, yeah. I mean, that's going to be a that's going to be a snag too, as drones get better, and video becomes more and more easier to produce. Yeah, there's probably going to be privacy lines that need to be addressed, let's say. Um, but still, I'm excited for the future of video, because video is definitely not going anywhere. So I'm excited to see where it goes, especially in the next 20 years or so.
You know, pornography is usually sort of a leading indicator with new techniques and all. So AI porn is probably happening already.
It probably is.
And that reminds me of the photographer that I introduced you to that does boudoir still photography.
Right.
So mostly it's women, but sometimes it's men and sometimes it's couples posing that are and they're scantily clad.
Right.
It's an interesting niche. Did you were you able to meet with her yet? And
Yes, we did meet. Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
And what do you think about that possibility for video? I think it could be
Oh,
stylistically.
I think it could be. I think if it's done the right way, I think it could be huge. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, that's something that the couples would probably be interested in. The partners. Uh, I think that could be huge. I think that could absolutely move to video, and it could be absolutely huge. I think there would be a huge demographic for that. Um,
Mhm.
so
Um,
yeah, I think that absolutely that could be an exciting thing to come.
maybe it could be a stepping stone so that somebody or a couple doing still photography might want this could be the next drug that
Yeah,
they
right.
that they would
Yeah,
do video as a
yeah,
second step. Um, or maybe she could package it together and say, okay, if you want to do just still photography, here's this price. But if at any time you decide you want to add video for another X price, we
right,
can add video, and that could involve you.
right, right. Absolutely. Yeah. Once again, yeah. All of us, helping each other out, right? It all comes back to that.
Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to talk about that we haven't covered? We've covered pretty good territory here, but something that you've done. Oh, we didn't talk about the book. What's the book about?
Oh, it's called How to Maximize Your Network. Um, and I wasn't the only author. It was a conglomerate, I believe is the right word. But it's a book that all of
Collaboration.
us got together to write. Um, and we each did a chapter on our company, and it's about how to well, the book title, I guess, says it, How to Maximize Your Network. But it's all about networking and how some of us got through COVID, and so it hit bestseller on Amazon on 3 different lists, um, and I think it's especially if you're an entrepreneur, I think it's a must read to read a bunch of other entrepreneurs and how they got their businesses going and got through COVID, and how what to do and not do as far as networking.
Mhm. Be sure to send a link to the book
Okay,
to the my team member
okay,
who sent you some information,
okay,
and let's get that in there, and let's also get um, contact information for you.
sure.
What's the best way for people to contact you?
My website uh, is Triple M Video Productions. That's all spelled out. Triple TRIPLE, the letter M. So TRIPLEM videoproductions.com. And on my website, at the bottom of the homepage, it has all the links to my social media, my Instagram, my YouTube channel, where I do videos that talk about how to make do-it-yourself videos look more professional. Um, and my Facebook channel, and my
What
Instagram,
what's
and
your
all,
email?
all my social media.
What's your email address?
I have two. You could send either one. The first one is the letter M, Lavallee, Lavallee, the number one at Tampa Bay, all one word, .rr.com. Or you could send me an email at MLAVALLEEONE, where the one is actually spelled out. So mlavallee1 at gmail.com.
Okay, great. And the Tampa Bay one, was that RR in there?
Correct. It stands for Roadrunner back in the day when they used to call it Roadrunner.
Yeah,
But it's still that's my business email. But you can reach me at Gmail as well. But yes, that one is mlavallee, the number one at tampabay.rr.com.
great.
And that's also on my website. Um,
Okay.
So yeah, my LinkedIn page, it's all pretty easy to find. And same with, and once you get to my LinkedIn page, it has my number and my address, and it's pretty easy to find everything.
Great. And what's your footprint in terms of your services? All of Florida, Central
I
Florida?
mean, I mean, I'm willing to go anywhere, but I mean, if it were somewhere out of Florida, you know, I would have to obviously get travel, and that would have to be added to the bill. But um, yeah, pretty much all the greater Tampa Bay area and surrounding areas. I mean, you know, I've gone to Miami. I could go to Tallahassee. I can go anywhere in the state. But for the most part, the entire greater Tampa Bay area is what I serve.
Got it. Well, Mike, this has been really interesting. I'm sure the audience has enjoyed it as well. We've covered a lot of territory, and I really appreciate both what you're doing, how you're approaching it, and yeah, just the skill and care that you're putting into it.
Oh, thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate that.
So thanks very much to you and um, audience members. If you like what you see, please click the like button, notification bell, subscribe to the channel. Come visit us at OutMarket.Pro. We do everything digital and we'd be happy to work with you. So find out more there. And we'll look forward to having you on our next video. And Mike, let's do an update. Let's do an update in a year, and I'll let
Okay.
my team know to invite you. I think as fast as AI is moving and technology is moving right now, I think we'll be surprised to see what exists just in a year.
Just in a year. Yep. It goes really fast now. Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, everybody.